Okay, what I just did at the beginning was a little drop. The little drop is the phrase, "it's your fault," is the drop. That vibrates that glass, which is already full. So, for example, you could be living a separation or even thinking of getting separated, and it could vibrate that glass to the point that you don't understand yourself at all. And like for me, it's obvious. It's what we need to do is empty that glass. Also, there's another within the same. For me, it's no longer a theory. For me, it's fact. Is all victims of abuse. Victims. All victims of abuse live the same abstract guilt. Now, to begin with, there are 4 forms of abuse. First is sexual, it is physical, mental, and emotional. What my experience has showed me is that the worst is sexual. Why is it the worst? Because it consists of the other 3 following. Sexual abuse, you have been physically abused, you have been mentally and emotionally abused. And so on. Physical abuse equals you've been mentally abused, you've been emotionally abused. On and on. When you've been mentally abused, you've also been emotionally abused. All victims of abuse have the same accumulation of abstract guilt. Now I'll give you an example of that statement. A woman that has just been raped, for example, if you talk to her after her rape, I guarantee you what's going to come out of her mouth will be, "It's my fault. I shouldn't have been so good looking." Or, "I shouldn't have been there." Or, "I could have said no." No, it's not her fault. It is not her fault. The person that should be feeling concrete guilt is the aggressor. All victims of any abuse also have an accumulation of abstract guilt. So, in my patients, we try to identify what's in that glass. We've all had all kinds of lives. Our parents could have tried to manipulate us into a certain behavior, and so it would be some kind of emotional abuse, or to the point of people that have been abused physically, sexually, plus the separations. There's a total accumulation that the person doesn't understand him or herself. For me, this is the worst emotion that doesn't exist for 2 reasons. 1, it accumulates. It eats you out inside. It's like a snake. It's sneaky. This one is the sneakiest emotion. For me, people think that the worst emotion is hate. It's not. For me, it's not hate, the worst emotion. Because, for example, if I hate that person, you don't have to be very bright to understand that if you hate him, you stay away from him. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to be living that bad emotion anymore. You can get away from it because you can identify it. With this abstract guilt, you never identify it. Because a little job separation vibrates your entire glass that you don't understand. So there's that phenomenon that happens. And there's also that you don't know about it. In psychology, and I'm sure this is the first time you've heard of it. Not everybody lives it. Like for me, these are the 2 elements that make this emotion the worst emotion that a human being could live? Now the solution is what? Okay, let's go further into identifying. Let's say a person has a full glass, okay, of different accumulation, but a full glass of abstract guilt. What would be a normal thing that a person would live by living that? It's my experience, it's not a crystal ball, is that all people that have a full glass live the following. Number one, they're perfectionists. Now, why are they perfectionists? Why? It's very simple. They don't want to have anybody pointing at them that they did something wrong. And this is all unconsciously. So it would be a normal reaction to put yourself in a position of trying to do everything always perfect and right, because you don't want anybody to be saying you did something wrong. For what? Now let's look at this position of perfectionism. It's an impossible goal. We can't attain it. Cannot attain it. I need my car to transport myself. I do not have little wings growing in my back. It's unattainable. Perfectionism. So what does that cause people to live? It causes them to live, number one, a lack of confidence, not attaining their goals. It's automatic. Trying to be perfect equals lack of confidence, lack of esteem. You're not attaining your goals, because in reality your goal is really not attainable. But this is all done unconsciously. And then that perfectionism also brings you something else, which is called stress. Because you have low self-esteem, you're not achieving, and you keep on trying to achieve, and finally, like, the body just doesn't follow the mind anymore, equals burnout. Okay. So for me, the problem is not stress. Neither is it perfectionism. It's that glass that is full that we need to resolve, which automatically resolves the balance. So how do we identify it? We identify it by, as I said at the beginning, by I should have, I could have. I even have some poor patients of mine that when I tell them it's your fault, they could sort of have some tears and say, yes, I know, everything is my fault. Hey, we're talking abstract here. It's such, for me, a daily, and every day I work with this, and this is how I derived a bit my therapy, to be able to identify what's in that glass, to be able to go to the source and resolve it. That's what I call, in the third session, emptying the glass. So I think it's, do you understand in a nutshell where we're going? Okay, I'll see.